All right, guys. Here is the tutorial for the InDesign. Those of you who asked for it, and how to actually set up your file. Um, so to create the new template or new file itself, you come in here and you can actually create, using whatever you have. If you have a tablet that you can use, awesome. If not, um, just choosing what is available for you. So, um, so we have the iPad. You have other ones here. You can pick. You can see how, depending on the resolution, is how much the pixel by pixel is. Then over here, you want your orientation to be landscape, all right? Because we want this to be sitting sideways when someone is using it while they're making the food itself. Over here, facing pages, you do not want facing pages, right? So, when we were creating the booklet, or the magazine rather, you had facing pages selected. This here, there will be no facing pages. We want each screen to be individually, all right? Margins you can set up yourself. Me personally, I prefer to keep it at 0, um, and then put them in afterwards. There is no bleed. The edge of the screen is the edge of the screen. And that's it. This is what you need. Number of pages that you're going to want to need starts, with the 5 recipes, and then the 1 cover, and then some sort of like a table of content. All right. Okay. So we hit create. And we have our, let me pull in this so you guys can see. So we have our pages here. All right. I loathe the fact that InDesign throws in a content page. So I go in, I'm getting rid of all of these. All right, so we have our 7 pages. Now we need to create our bookmarks. So that's the first thing I feel that you want to do, because then this way you can put in any kind of links bouncing around from page to page. All right, so now I want to put in very quickly, so this way we can see where we're at. Then here will be the recipe 1. All right, so we have all these. All right, so one of the things you want to be careful of is when you add your bookmarks, you want to make sure you're actually on that screen. So right now, I'm looking at home screen, all right, and I want to add a bookmark. Now, if I create a new bookmark right now by hitting the plus symbol, and I'm looking at the home screen, it will not actually put the bookmark on the home screen. It will put it on page 7, because that's the one that's highlighted, because I still touch this screen here, right? I'm still interacting with this, even though I scrolled to a new screen. You gotta click on the screen for it to highlight then you add the bookmark. All right. So you can either click on the screen to move it around, or just double click on the actual page in the page's dialog box. Okay. All right. So here, create a new bookmark for home, table contents, 01, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now our bookmarks are set. So even if I was to start clicking on these, it will bounce around. All right. All right. So now, say I want um, a little home button that will always take me back to like the table of contents. All right. So I'm gonna create a cheesy little icon. And I want this to always bring me back to the table of contents. And I want this to be on every single page. All right. Um, I don't want to put this on every page. I'd rather put it into my master. So this way it's part of that. But first, I need to make this into a button. All right. So now you can right click the item and then scroll down to interactive. And then you have here convert to button. All right. So now the button forms pops up. And that's cool that it just pops up without having to go to it. If you need it and it doesn't pop up for you, it's under interactive right here. Okay, so once it's a button, we want on tap or on click. All right. Honestly, I feel on tap is what you want. On click will work the same way. We're not going to be using roll off and roll over, and definitely not in focus or on blur. All right. Um, this is something more for like when you're creating um, forms where people will fill out and you want them to be able to utilize the tab buttons on the keyboard to go through the form itself. But what we're doing, we're creating it for the iPad, so therefore there's no rollover with a mouse on the computer, so we want on tap. All right, we should name it because they're going to have a lot of buttons in this project and it's going to become very confusing very quickly. So home button, and then you go to your actions. All right, so you click new, and what we want to do is go to destination, all right, because we wanted to go back to the table of content. Then over here, I never saved it, so that's why it's saying document untitled. Destination, we want to go to table of content. So you can see all these are right here. So that's why you want to name all your bookmarks so that way you know what's what. All right, so that is all set. Now I want to throw this into my master. So I'm going to cut this, go into my master, paste it in there, come back out, and now everything is here. So now when this gets clicked, it comes back into your table content. All right, I do not want it here, so I'm going to release that and delete it. And there's really no reason to have it there. All right. Okay, so on all the recipe pages, now it's bouncing back to table content. All right, so now we want to, so that's how you create a button um, with an object. Now we want to create a button with um, text. So you want to make this as tight as you can. Um, you also have here fitting frame to content. It'll make it nice and tight, because if you end up making a button like this, you don't want to have all this excess type box in here. So whatever you prefer. If you want to manually pull it in or just quickly go like that, that's fine. All right, so now we have meal one. All right, same thing. Click on the text, right click, interactive, convert to a button, and then name it. All right. Now this is going to go to this bookmark, right? So on release tab, keep that action, go to destination, and then meal one, done. All right, meal two, two, and so on. So that right there will create the links bouncing around from page to page. All right. All right, so next is bringing in and hiding images. All right, so I have these. I was not going to do my own photos. I wanted to just quickly have these set up for you. All right, so here's number one. And then I think this was number two. And then this was number three. All right. All right, so the way this works is we want to show that progression, right? Some sort of button that will show the different um, pictures showing how something was being prepared. So depending on how you're laying your design out, it could be individual buttons that you're creating. Um, it could be text, right? So whatever method that you plan on utilizing is completely fine. But I just want to show how you would set this up. All right. So we have my dot here. That's going to become the button. Write the button, and then I need three of them. All right. Now, in order to show and hide images, the images itself have to be buttons as well. If you remember the file that I uploaded a few weeks ago, that went through and showed how each of the images are laid out. When you show and hide, it's difficult to design having everything being shown. So that's why I feel it's easier to utilize your layers and there it is. And put these on their individual layers. So this way then you can show and hide these as you're designing. and then again you can hide them while you finish designing. But once you export, you need to show them all again. All right. So this here is a finished pizza. Convert it to a button. Call it pizza 3. And then here we want it to say hidden until triggered. All right. So do this, and then there's no action that we want for it. All right. So I'm gonna cut this and then drop it in, and then I'm gonna hide it so I can get this one. This will be the second pizza. And then this here is the first pizza. And then this obviously is going to be there. So we don't need to click that like the other two. All right. So these here, I need it for, show what I was doing. So now I have all these sitting here, right? Now, this one here will bring this back, right? So as we move on to number 2, to show number 2, this will hide, right? So this here, we want to go and show and hide buttons, all right? So you don't know which way somebody's coming. So somebody may come here and they see this first and they click 3, and then they click 2, or they go 3, 1, 2. You don't know what order that they're going to be viewing these, right? So you have to account for any direction. So when clicking on 1, we want to show 1 and hide 3 and 4. All right, so that's that. Number 2, we want to show and hide. I guess I call it number 3. I have no idea why. Show 3, hide 4, hide 1. All right. Yeah, I call it 4. I have no idea why. And then number 3 is going to be show 4, hide 2, hide 1. All right. Don't deal with any of the appearance. All you need to do is this. Okay. So now, when you export, these here, when tapped and clicked, these here will show and hide. So if you were still designing and you exported and nothing's showing up, it's because the layers are hidden. You only create these layers because it's a pain trying to design having these different layers all on top. All right. So you make sure those come back in. All right. So that's how you would create the um, the rollovers or showing the progression, right? And the other thing too is if you wanted this to be the full screen, then you'd want to have everything else on another layer on top of your images. All right. So we would hide this, and then I'm going to cut this, put that on its own layer, and then drop these underneath. All right. So you could have this be the whole screen and have whatever the buttons are. Because honestly, I feel like this is probably be the way that you would end up doing it anyway. Okay, so that's how you create these buttons here to show and hide this. Now the other way, the other interactive piece that you need is to have some sort of interactive, showing different like the hotspots, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this. So I'm gonna reuse this photo. I'm gonna strip out the button element by going to convert to object. So this way it brings it back down to an image. Um, and then, depending on how you plan on having different buttons that show what's happening, um, that's up to you. I think it needs to be clear to the person viewing this that whatever it is something that can be interacted with. All right. Um, so yeah, so here I would just maybe quickly create um, some sort of graphical element that show that this could be clicked. Um, I have no idea where I would do this. That these care could be clickable. That would then bring in images that would show and hide. Right, so I'd have this somehow here. I'm not sure what I would do with the layout. Maybe when I would take a picture of my finished piece, maybe the place where I left a lot of negative space for the text, maybe that could sit, somehow interacting within that negative space, maybe showing and hiding parts of the text and having that sit there. All right. So then here I would create this into a button, and this would be all right, and then this would be hidden until triggered, and this here would be all right. So this way now this is hidden when you export, and I want this to show that. So same thing that we just did before, show and hide, and show and keep that image. All right. So that way that this would then show up. You can then also click this and put an action on it where it would hide itself. All right. So on tap, clicking this would actually hide its own image. So you could have images. I almost positive the examples that I had uploaded before for you guys to look at, those color squares that were kind of showing and hiding and going around. One of those color squares did have this action where it went back to the original color it was. All right, so it doesn't always have to be something that is clicked on the external and then this. All right, okay. That's it. That's really, there isn't much to this. All the same things that you guys did in the previous project, creating styles for typefaces and swatches for color. All that is the same, even though this is an interactive piece. Um, the only difference is, like I said before, make sure the type boxes are tight around whatever buttons you're creating. Um, yeah, yeah, that is, what hopefully, just seeing this again, creating from scratch as opposed to having the document set up for you automatically. Hopefully that helps. When it's time to export, you go to export, and this is a little bit different. It's using the interactive. So here you want to have PDF interactive. Um, we're not doing the EPUB, all right? So keep it as a PDF. So this way, nobody needs any special software. It just opens up into Acrobat. All right. Um, yeah, and that's it. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully all of you are doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have later today. But yeah, have a great day, and I will see you in a few hours. All right.